Hello and welcome to knitting class. Today, let's learn to embroider a bag, Kaya Kingling. Let's take a look at the overall production process. First, draw the pattern on the bag according to the drawing. Then embroider different leaves according to the pattern. The bottom part is also embroidered with the winding thread. The leaves here are embroidered with the flying bird stitch. Then comes the tassel part. The coiled thread is embroidered in these areas. The buds and flowers are made of wool strips. The core part of the flower is also made of a coil. The small flower is made of knot embroidery. And finally, the hairball is embroidered, and the front part is completed. Then trim the thread on the back, fix the edge of the interlining with alcohol glue, and finally, sew the interlining cloth. Take a look at the materials and tools we need. We need to use linen bags, 5 kinds of milk cotton, army green, dark green, deciduous yellow, orange, chick yellow, Lingyan brown, twilight cloud, golden yellow, beige. Materials we need to use metal, large hole needles, hand stitches, beige, alcohol glue, water sharpener, lining cloth, and pattern location reference picture. The material details are listed on the screen, which can be taken and saved for verification. Now let's make it together. Take out the pattern position reference picture. Align the lower end of the paper with the fixed position of the suture above the linen bag, and do not move. Try not to change the position in the next operation. Take out the water pen and demonstrate it in the small piece on the right first. Aim the tip of the water pen at the position of the end point and gently rotate the water pen back and forth. Do not move the position until the paint of the water pen soaks the drawing through. You can open the drawing to see that there is a small dot at the corresponding position on the bag. If it's not very clear, you can draw it again. Turn it back. Don't move the drawing. If it moves, adjust the position in time and continue to position it. The method of the origin is the same. Rotate the water pen and turn to draw the blue dot on the linen bag. The fixed point method of the horizontal line can also be carried out with dots, one at the head, end, and middle of the line segment. After the fixed point is completed, open the drawing and draw a straight line between these endpoints to connect the endpoints. In this way, the first line segment is drawn, and the positioning method of the rest of the line segments is the same. Turn it over and connect them. The fixed points of the circles are almost the same. Draw about 0.2 inches on the circles and doodle repeatedly, soaking the water pen through the paper. The second fixed point position is about 0.6 inches away from the first position. When you draw, don't point to many positioning points at one time. This will not tell which position you are drawing. If it is not clear enough, you can click a few more times. In this way, the 6 small lines are drawn. Connect all the line endpoints. Try to draw a circle. It doesn't matter if it's not particularly round. The pattern is just an approximate positioning. If you think the deviation is a bit large, you can take a piece of paper towel, dip the paper towel in water, and gently press the paper towel to eliminate the traces of water sharpening. That's it. Wait for the surface to dry before painting, and you can paint other patterns first. Point at the center, and the fixed point position of the line segment should be filled in time. Avoid not finding it later. The rest of the pattern fixing methods are similar. You can draw the patterns on the linen bag and turn. After all the fixed points, you can compare the drawing paper to see if there is anything missing. The fixed point position of the line segment should be filled in time to avoid subsequent failure to find it. You can deepen the lighter areas the second time. It doesn't matter if the refill of the water sharpener is pressed in, it will not affect subsequent use. In this way, all patterns are drawn. Then I will introduce to you the pattern represented by each pattern. The big circle is a flower, the small circle is a bud, and the hollow circle and the small black spot both represent small flower grains, but the positions are different. To distinguish them easily, the horizontal line is the corresponding position of the tassel and the circle line, and the arc line is the branch. You can take a look first. Compare the patterns on the sections and try to understand. To start embroidering, embroider the big leaves first. Take out the orange color of milk cotton, and then take out the large metal hole needle. The length of the wool is measured with reference to the length of the bag. First, take a section and pinch it with your finger as a mark, and then fold it in half at the mark. Fold 3 sections in total, and cut with your own scissors. Start threading, and take out the large hole needle. Find the thread and tighten it through the pinhole. The threads on both sides are one long and one short, and then tie a knot at the end of the long thread. You can tie 2 knots to prevent offline and tighten. In this way, the threading is completed. The threading method of the big leaf is thread embroidery, and it may be a little painful to press the tail of the large hole needle with your finger. You can put on a band-aid or wear finger cots to prevent finger injuries and other situations. Flip the burlap bag to 180 degrees, with the mouth of the burlap bag facing towards you. Let's embroider this big leaf first. Stitch at the back of the sack and at the top of the line. Then insert the needle about 0.8 inches from the front of the burlap bag. After inserting the needle, find the position before the apex of the needle and exit the needle. It will be more difficult to press the end of the needle here. Please use force and pay attention to avoid injury. After the needle is removed, push the tail of the needle to only 0.2 inches left, and wrap the thread at the apex around the needle. The number of turns should be about the same as the line. The coil should not be too loose or too tight to prevent offline. Gently withdraw the needle, and the coil can be arranged during the extraction process. Thread the needle into the initial needle exit position, tighten the wool, and organize the coil again. The wool on the back does not need to be knotted, and the next coil can be made directly. First, make the coil on the left, and the needle output position of the second coil is in the lower 4 grids of the first coil, and the needle output is in the hole on the right 2 grids. The needle insertion position of the second needle is at the end of the first coil. Note that the needle should be inserted on the blue line segment, and then the needle should be inserted before finding the vertex. Use the previous method to wind the yarn on the needle. Make sure the number of loops is about the same as the line. The position on the right is also the whole of the lower 4 grids, and the left 2 grids of the first coil, and the needle is embroidered according to the previous method. Each subsequent coil position is near the left and right coils. Tie a knot on the back of the sack when the yarn runs out. Turn to the back here to show the knot method. You can directly put your hands in to tie the knot. There will be folds on the back of the burlap bag. Knot it in a circle, and take out your own scissors for cutting. There is no standard length of wool, and you need to cut it carefully after finishing it all. We take 3 more lengths of wool. The needle exit position is still near one of the left and right coils. After the coil embroidery pleats are completed, the middle karma is needled at the tail, about 0.4 inches into the needle. The second needle starting position is in the middle of the first line segment. After the whole strip is embroidered, embroider it in the same way again, so that the leaves and stems will be fuller. Finally, a needle is inserted at the end, and a knot is tied at the back. In this way, the embroidery of the first big leaf is completed, and the embroidery method of the second big leaf is the same. If the coil is too tight, you can rotate it in the opposite direction. Remember to hold the needle with your other hand. Pay attention to the use of large hole needles to avoid injury. Then embroider the small leaves. Take out the yellow thread of the fallen leaves. Still compare the length of the linen bag. Fold out 3 sections, cut and tie them. Because it is embroidered in the form of bird embroidery, the outline of the small leaves is drawn with a pen, which is more convenient to see the embroidery position clearly. Turn the burlap bag to 180 degrees and place the needle into the back of the burlap bag. Penetrate 1 space to the left of the tip of the leaf and 1 space to the right of the tip. The wool will form a loop, and one hand will open the loop. The needle on the back goes through the tip and tightens. Then insert the needle diagonally down 1 grid to the right. Still let the wool form a ring and thread through the veins of the blue stitch. Continue to insert the needle diagonally to the right. According to this right, left and right form, the small leaves are embroidered. If the line segment is not long enough, you can tie a knot on the back of the linen bag after inserting the needle in the leaf vein. Take out 3 pieces of yarn again. The position of the needle is at the place where the leaf vein has just been knotted, and the remaining part is embroidered in the previous way. After the first small leaf is completed, the remaining 3 are embroidered in the same way. Then embroider this small flower grain. You can embroider the leaf part first. The blue line is not obvious. You can trace it again. Take out the army green line. Cut 3 pieces of thread in the same way. Use a water pen to draw the shape of the leaves. Continue to turn the linen bag 180 degrees, and still embroider it with the previous bird embroidery method. After the embroidery of the 2 leaves is completed, a large hole needle is pierced at the bottom end, approximately 0.25 inches from the branch. The second needle is pierced in the middle of the first line segment. Then embroider the small flower grains on it. Take out the chick yellow, and fold 2 pieces of wool along the length of the linen bag. Thread the chick yellow thread into the pinhole, and tie it at the end. Flip 180 degrees. Put the large hole needle into the back, and pierce the blue dot. Pull the thread with your left hand and take the large hole needle with your right hand to circle around. Penetrate at one space near the first needle. You can press and hold the wool on it, so that the shape displayed will be more beautiful, and continue to pierce it at the blue dot. Embroider the small flower grains in sequence using the previous method. Tie a knot on the back after completion. The other one is embroidered in the same way. Then embroider the tassel part. We need to embroider from the bottom line first. Only in this way will there be layers when it is displayed. Take out the dark green thread and cut a section. Thread it through the needle and tie a knot. Flip the linen bag 180 degrees, take out the remaining wool lines, and reserve the required length for tassel lines. First, pierce the large hole needle from the first grid on the left of the line segment, and the tail is about 0.8 inches beyond the edge of the linen bag. Then pierce the large hole needle next to the line. Tighten it. The second needle is a grid next to the previous needle. Fold the line in half to the same length, and the large hole needle continues to penetrate next to the line. Each stitch is threaded in a grid next to the previous one, and embroidered to the end of the blue stitch in this way. After completion, turn back and embroider once. The large hole needle can be pierced in and out in the previous way. The last stitch goes through the back of the linen bag and knots it. Take out your own scissors and cut the coil. The second line is cut with the same green line, threaded into the large hole needle, and knotted. Use the method learned earlier to pierce the large hole needle to the left of the blue stitch. Put the army green line on it. The length of the line should be short, and the dark green line should be about 0.4 inches. Embroider by piercing, releasing, and penetrating in this way. Be careful to turn back to embroidery in turn. Cut the thread after embroidering. The third line segment is embroidered with a fallen leaf yellow line using the method learned earlier. The fourth line segment is the coil embroidery method. Take out the orange thread and fold it into 3 sections. After cutting, penetrate the large hole needle and tie it in a knot. Likewise, turn the linen bag 180 degrees, pierce the large hole needle from the back, and leave a length of about 1.57 inches in the middle of the upper and lower line segments. Pierce in the 5th grid hole, and the second needle pierces out in the middle of the first coil. When piercing into the linen bag, you can press and hold the coil to prevent each length from being different. Use this method to complete the first one. Pay attention to the length of the blue stitch, not too short or too long. After one is completed, the needle is pierced with a blue thread on the right, and the length is flush with the first one. Embroidery is completed in the same way. After completion, tidy up the tassels. Then, according to the diagram, we embroidered the coil at the bottom of the burlap bag, took out the fallen leaves and folded the yellow thread into 3 sections, and then cut it. Flip the linen bag 90 degrees, and note that the mouth of the bag is facing the right hand, which is convenient for embroidery. There are no rigid requirements for the position and quantity of thread embroidery in this area. You can refer to the diagram. You can also decide the position and quantity of thread embroidery according to your own preferences, just like the embroidery method of the big leaves in front. Be careful not to stab yourself with the large hole needle. The second part of the winding thread embroidery is embroidered with fallen leaves, yellow thread and orange thread, overlapping each other. And then we embroider the branches. Take brown and chick yellow thread. The length of brown can be compared with the length of the pattern on the linen bag. Fold it into 3 sections and cut it. The chick yellow thread is the same length as the previous curve. Fold out 2 sections and cut it. Thread the chick yellow thread into the needle and tie it in a knot. Then turn the linen bag 90 degrees, and the 2 blue stitches have the same length, which is convenient for subsequent embroidery. You can take out the water pen to extend the filling. The big hole needle goes through the apex of the blue stitch on the right. Twist the brown color into a twist shape and put it in the corresponding position. The brown color can be left about 0.4 inches. This is more convenient to wear. After putting it on, find the blue stitch on the left with the large hole needle and penetrate it parallel to the first needle. Tighten it. The exit position of the second needle is about 3.15 inches through the first needle, and the brown color can be twisted. Then put the chick yellow thread into the linen bag and tighten it, and complete the branches in this way. Tie the thread on the back of the linen bag. The excess brown color is cut 0.4 inches thick, and the remaining branches are embroidered the same as before. Embroider and complete in the corresponding position. Then embroider in this area above the branch. Repeat the embroidery method of the coil. Take out the fallen leaves and fold out 3 sections of yellow thread. Flip the linen bag 180 degrees, and you can draw the specific embroidery position with a water-based pen. Start embroidering from the line segment near the branch. The distance between the two needles is about 0.24 inches. The length of the coil is about 0.8 inches. After one is finished, turn back the blue line mark below for embroidery of the second coil. The length is flush with the first coil. After the embroidery is completed, take out the water pen and draw another area below. Embroider with orange thread. The first piece of orange thread is a blue thread with deciduous brass. The orange coil is about 0.1 inch shorter than the deciduous yellow coil. Embroider in the same way. Then do coil embroidery in the area under the leaves, and draw the specific location with water strokes. Take out the military green thread and fold it into 3. Flip the linen bag 90 degrees, facing the opposite position to the coil embroidered in front, and embroider it in the blue thread on the right first. Keep the length of the coil around 0.8 inches along the edge of the leaf. The second coil should be aligned with the first one. After the two embroideries are completed, then find the position where the coils are embroidered on the diagram. Take out the water elimination pen and draw it, and then embroider according to the corresponding wool color. The length of orange wool is about 1.2 inches. Note that the second coil is the same length as the first. Coil length is 0.8 inches. The yellow line and orange line in this area are relatively large, and 3 need to be embroidered. Draw a dotted line in the middle with a sharpener, so that the embroidery position is clearer. Start embroidering from the bottom first. Turn the linen bag 180 degrees, and embroider against the bottom of the linen bag will be more difficult. Be careful with large hole needles to avoid pricking your fingers. The length of the orange line is about 0.4 inches. The second and third coils are about 0.24 inches shorter than the previous one, respectively. After the orange embroidery is completed, take out the chick yellow thread, and the length of each coil is about 0.16 inches shorter than the previous coil. This is more layered. The last coil can be folded back and embroidered again in order to look fuller. After the coil is completed, the scattered small flower grains are embroidered. However, the fixed point of the hairball is the same as the fixed point of the small flower grains. In order not to confuse the position between the two, we draw a triangle with water, according to the position of the hairball on the graph section, and the remaining blue dots are the embroidered small flower grains. The position and color of the small flower grains on the diagram correspond to the embroidery on the linen bag. The embroidery method is to embroider with grains, the same as before. After the embroidery of the small flower grains is completed, start embroidering the flower buds and take out the beige color. Make a circle on the blue stitch of the small circle, so that it is one length. Fold out 2 sections and cut it. Then take out the orange thread and follow the edge of the linen bag, fold it out twice, and cut it. Thread it into the large hole needle and tie it in a knot, and thread it at one of the positions on the blue circle thread. Turn the beige into a small ball by itself, place the line tail on the bottom, and then press it on the blue circle. The large hole needle is inserted into the center of the bud and tightened at the back. The second needle exit position is about 0.8 inches next to the first needle. The position of the needle is still at the center point. Pay attention to tightening it to make the bud more shaped. Embroider the bud in this way. The second bud is made in the same way. After the embroidery is completed, start making big flowers, and take out the golden thread. The big flower on the left will be relatively small. The golden thread used is 2.5 segments. The orange line is 3 segments. Thread the orange thread through the large needle and tie a knot. Take a water pen in the middle of the large flower and draw a small circle about 0.4 inches from the large circle. Exit the large hole needle at one of the positions in the small circle and place the golden thread next to the orange thread, leaving about 0.4 inches. Thread the large hole needle next to the golden thread and tighten it. Then the next stitch is one grid next to the previous stitch. Wrap the golden yellow along the position on the large circle. The coil length is about 2 inches. Then insert the large hole needle next to the golden yellow. Note that each needle is inserted into the needle and the wool must be tightened from the back. Each section of the coil should be close to each other. Embroider, according to this method. Leave 0.4 inches for the excess golden lines and cut them. The orange thread does not need to be knotted on the back, and the middle flower heart part is embroidered with the same color. Pierce out at one point on the center edge of the petal. Leave a coil about 1.2 inches in length. Put a large hole needle in about 0.4 inches next to the first needle, and press the wool with your hand. The next needle is pierced in the middle of the upper coil, and then surrounds the edge of the flower core, in sequence using the previous method. After 3 turns of embroidery, change the yellow thread. The coil length is the same as the orange thread. Embroider until the center is saturated. In this way, one big flower will be completed, and the other one will be relatively large. So the golden yellow needs to be folded by 4.5 sections. Orange line 5. The embroidery method is the same as before. And the orange and yellow coils would be about 2.4 inches in length. In this way, the large flower is completed. Then we make hairballs, which are divided into small, medium, and large. The small hairballs are taut with yellow lines, and they are wrapped around the 4 fingers and wound 75 to 80 times. After winding, put it aside, and take out the hand suture. The length is the length of the side of the linen bag, and then tie a knot in the middle of the hand suture. Turn it over and tie a knot. Tighten it, and tie a knot for a total of 3 knots. Make sure this yellow hairball doesn't fall apart. Take a basket or tray, and bring your own scissors. Unload the cut hairballs in the tray, which is easier to clean. Cut all the wool rings with scissors. Be careful to hold on to the hand stitches. Yeah, the yellow yarn. Gradually trim into the shape of a hairball. This step can be trimmed slowly. Don't worry. Try to make this wool ball approach a sphere. This is what it looks like after trimming. The middle-haired ball is taut with army green thread, and the wool is wound 75 to 80 times around the 4 fingers. The subsequent methods are the same as before. The big fur ball needs to go around 95 to 100 times. Use the same method to make according to the color and quantity of the small, medium, and large hairballs required on the diagram. After finishing, sew the blue triangle stitches. First take out the large dark green hairball, then apply and cut it to the corresponding position for sewing. One of the hand sutures on the hairball penetrates into the large hole needle. Through any hole in the triangular blue stitch. About 3.2 inches away. Remove the large hole needle and tie the 2 hand stitches in a knot at the bottom of the hairball. Then wrap the sutures around each other a few times and tie the knot again, which is stronger. Cut the excess hand stitch along the hairball near the bottom, thus completing the sewing of one hairball, and the remaining hairball is sewn according to the size and color on the figure. After finishing, the pattern of the linen bag on the front looks like this. Then turn the linen bag to the back and put the inner lining on the linen bag. Fix along the edge of the linen bag. The fixed point position on the left can be sewn on the sewing edge of the linen bag. Turn the lining cloth over. You can see that the sewing edge of the linen bag is relatively three-dimensional. You can fix according to this edge. Take out a water sharpener and first locate the lining cloth on the sewing edge. You can use a ruler to assist and draw a vertical line on the left side. The method on the right is the same as on the left. Find the sewn edge of the linen bag and draw a vertical line. The fixed point position below is the same as the previous method. Draw a horizontal line, taking care to stick to the sewing edge of the linen bag. Then draw the fixed point position on it. You can open the inside of the linen bag. The handheld position is relatively three-dimensional. You can fix according to this edge. First draw a stroke to determine the position with a water-based pen, and then take out a ruler to draw a horizontal line. In this way, the 4 sides of the lining cloth are drawn, and then the blue stitch with 4 sides is cut about 0.4 inches outside. If you are not sure, you can use a water pen to fix it. Take out scissors and cut the 4 sides. Note that the cut is about 4 inches outside the blue stitch. After cutting, fold the 4 sides of the lining cloth in half along the blue thread. Paste. Take out the alcohol and apply the water evenly to the edge of the inner. Fold in half along the blue stitch and stick tightly. Paste the remaining 3 sides in this way. Be careful to fold in half along the blue thread agent. Take the alcohol glue and cut it with scissors at the mouth. The bottle mouth is facing down. Gently squeeze the plastic bottle and apply a small strip to cover the contour. Then apply the alcohol glue on the bottle mouth. Apply the line segment in the same way. Wait 5 to 8 minutes after applying, and let the glue dry. After drying, it will not stick to your hands. That's it. Then apply glue on all sides of the inner interlining and smear it with the mouth of the bottle, because you need to stick the interlining on after that, and the process is controlled in about 2 minutes. Otherwise the glue will not be sticky after it dries. You don't need to turn to the back. Just stick your hand directly into the bag. After applying, place the lining cloth horizontally, face up. Align the four corners and stick it on the back of the linen bag to smooth, and press the position where the alcohol glue is applied to connect the lining cloth and wool more tightly. The two sides are just aligned with the edge of the bag, and then wait 5 to 8 minutes for the glue to dry. After drying, sew and fix it once near the mouth of the bag, and take out the hand suture. After penetrating the large hole needle, tie the two lines together. Stand up the bag. Start from the short corner, and insert the needle 2 to 3 grids down on the lower layer. There will be small holes on the bag. Find the small holes in the same row, insert the needle in the next hole, and pass through vertically to the back. Be careful not to put your fingers in the position where the needle comes out, and tighten them slightly, so that the sutures exposed on the front will not be obvious. Put them on about 0.5 inches apart in the same row. Go through the next hole to the back, and tighten it slightly. When you put it on, it's about 0.5 inches apart. When threading to the back, insert the needle into the next hole, tighten it slightly, and sew this row in the same way. Take a look at the effect on the back. The stitches are relatively neat, so that the upper side is sewn. The remaining edges are sewn according to everyone's preference. The method is the same as before. Look at the effect. It is very firm. In this way, the embroidery bag, Kaiwei Kingming, is all completed. Okay, that's it for today's class. Thank you for watching.